over to Collette, I'm going to do my best at introducing this amazing woman. So Collette Smith is a former player, coach, and director of marketing and PR promo events for the New York Sharks pro football team, and made history when she was named. Is this on? Yeah. She made history when she was named the first female coach for the New York Jets in their franchise history in 2017. She is the third female football coach in the National Football League and the first African American woman to hold the title. In addition to her work on the field, Collette is a force for good off the field. She is the founder of Believe in You, Inc., where she champions children in underserved communities to find their confidence and chase their dreams. She is also an ambassador for the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence and will be their keynote speaker at their 17th annual conference this year. Amazing. And I would like to point out that Collette has a website, believeInyouinc.com, and we encourage you all to visit it. And if you or your company would like to engage with Collette for events like these, all the information is on that website, and we'll circulate it after as well. So now we're going to dive in so Collette can share her story.
There's a whole lot of that story though.
As you can tell.
We're going to be here all night just saying, call your babysitters, tell your husbands you're not coming home.
So I'm afraid, oh, there we go. So you have broken the mold in society in terms of a woman being in a field that is dominated by men in history. And I just want to start from the beginning. Can you tell us about your journey that ultimately led you to, number one, playing football as a female, and number two, being a coach for the Jets?
It's pretty interesting. I was telling you guys earlier that I'm come from a very cool family. My parents, I'm sorry, are really cool people, and I was never allowed to play football because I'm a girl, and my dad is a serious liberal, and yet and still even he was bamboozled by the world and seeing that girls have to be objectified or not allowed to play certain sports because of their gender. And so years go by, and my brother played football at a Pop Warner level, and he was horrible. He was horrible. And my parents made me be a cheerleader, and I was the worst cheerleader ever on purpose. I could have been a great cheerleader, but my heart wasn't there. So fast forward, years go by, I did real estate in New York City with Halstead property, and I made a ton of money, and I thought I loved it, and I thought I was living life to my fullest. And then the market crashed, and I was messing around on the computer, and I found out about women's pro football tryouts, and I thought I was high. I was like, what is this? Women's football tryouts, what is going on? And I tried out for the team, and I didn't think I was going to make the team because I was older. At that time I was 42 years old, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to make the team. I smoke cigarettes, I drink with my girlfriends on Thursday, Fridays, and Saturday nights. It's not happening. But I said the least I owe it to myself to go try out, or else I would regret it. Or I want to live my life with no regrets. So I said, I'm going to go try out. Then they said, to try out, you have to have cleats. And I'm thinking, I do not own a pair of cleats. And I am not, we were in a depression in the real estate market. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to spend 40 or 50 bucks on cleats that I'll only use one time. So I wore snow boots. Not playing, I wore snow boots. They were UGG snow boots though. And they had a lot of traction, so I figured that was better than my sneakers were like bald, bald tires. So I figured I can't wear those, so I don't have cleats. Sneakers are bald, I'm wearing these UGG snow boots. And everybody thought I was crazy when they met me, when I met the team, the New York Sharks. And when I think about it, it was more about, I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm not going to live my life with excuses. Oh, I don't have cleats, I'm older. No, hell no. I'm wearing these UGG boots. I'm going to try out. I might not make the team, but I'm going to give it my all. And that's where it started for me. And I had been playing football since then. And my whole life turned a different corner when I started being involved in athletics. because the only sport I really cared about was football, but I was never allowed to play because of my gender. Mm-hmm. So fast forward years later, I had the opportunity to change that. And I played and I played and I played and I worked out and my whole life changed. I got rid of friends, Megan, that were no good in my life. Friends that I hung out with too often, too many Thursday nights. And good people, we all meant well, but we were aimless, right? Throwing darts at no board, just throwing darts. And I got rid of those people in my life, and I never thought that I could. I just never thought that I could. That's all I knew. And my life has been forever changed, and I went in, gave it my all, and I retired when I turned 45 years old from playing football. And the owner of my team asked me to be the coach. And I said, I don't know how to coach. I barely played that well. She said, but you study and you do know it. You're probably not physically able to do it for whatever your reasons are, and I had many, but I knew the game, and she knew that, and she gave me the chance to coach. And from that point, that's where I got to the Jets at some point.
That's incredible. And I want to highlight and dig a bit deeper on one of the themes there, and that's pivoting and taking a risk. So you said that you started playing football when you were 42.
Yeah.
And I heard that your whole life you danced ballet. So I want to get behind that and learn what gave you the courage to pivot like that and take that risk to something completely different like football.
If anybody knows me, I'm a risk taker. Some of my girlfriend Jackie from Tuskegee can attest to that. I was a freshman in college and I was like, let's go, where are we going? There's no lights? Who cares? Bring a flashlight, let's go. So I'm a risk taker, but for me, ballet was something that I didn't think I was gonna like, so my dad got me involved in ballet when I was a kid. And I protested the whole time. I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna dance ballet. I'd rather climb a tree or play football in the street with my brother. And I went to ballet, literally kicking and screaming, literally. And when I got there, I was good. And I was like, oh my God, I'm really good at this. I kind of like it. And I remember the following week when my dad knocked on my bedroom door and he said, let's go, you gotta go to ballet. He thought he was gonna have to drag me out the door again. And I said, fine, I'll go. And I got in the car like, and whenever he looked at me, I was like, but I loved it. And so I think that just, that's, ballet I hear is good for football players anyway. We all heard that little myth. I don't really know how true it is, but
it helps them fall better.
Fall better, maybe. Doing pirouettes, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, to transition into football for me was just something that I had to dive 100% into, and it challenged me as a woman, and it challenged me as a little girl if I looked at myself. I was scared to hit somebody or to get hit. And I saw those obstacles as life. Scared to get a promotion or scared to speak up for myself. So football really resonated with me off the field and on, and it made me a stronger woman. And so to me it was pretty seamless.
That's amazing. And now I want to get into a theme that has been touched on around the room about being a female in a field dominated by men. What is the dynamic like being a coach, a female coach, coaching all male players on the Jets? I think we're all wondering.
Yeah.
What is your advice for women in similar positions?
Here's the real deal. So quite frankly, when I received the phone call from the head coach of the New York Jets, I was blown away. We had exchanged numbers. I was going to practices for the Jets for about a year, and I made myself known. You know, I'm sick and tired of girls and women sitting back, waiting for something to happen for us, because we're taught that way. Whether it be taught to us, or whether it be subconscious or unconscious, I don't know. But I'm not going for it. So I went there and I made myself visible at any cost. And when the players were doing things that I knew were wrong, I spoke on it. And I was like, oh, you messed up. And mind you, Darrell Revis was there then, and Cromartie. And I would say, Cromartie, you gotta be kidding me. And the coaches would look at me and like, who's this? I want to say the B word, but who's this?
Right.
But literally. And yeah. And I would look at them and say, what? You don't think he messed up, then you shouldn't be coaching here. and that's how I mean, because you know what? No more am I just going to sit back. I'm not sitting back. If a guy said it, it would be more acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
There would be no real serious questions and a press release on it and all this stuff. So you know what? I'm going to live my life just like that. And little by little, I started to be more known on the field. And Todd Bowles walked by me one day, and I had known Mike McCagnon, the general manager for the Jets. I had met Neil Collette, the vice president for the New York Jets. I met their wives at an event that I went to a couple of years earlier, and I'd seen them a few times, and I was always in your face. Hey, how you doing? Here's my card. Where's your card? Where do you live? And because you can't miss opportunities. We can't. And I'm not saying be bulldogish and be obnoxious, but find a way to slide it in. Slide in your life. Slide in your story. And I did that. And so when I'm on the football field and I saw the head coach of the Jets, and mind you, black man, I'm a black girl from Queens Village, New York.
Hey,
And
Queens.
hey, to see a black man as an NFL head coach, that amongst itself is a big deal in a black household. All right? So I can sit up here and talk about women power all day, and I can and I will. But the same is applicable with black people. All right? We black folks, women, girls still get the short end of the stick. So for me to see a black man as a head coach, that was a big deal to me. And I was impressed and happy and proud. And I was eyeing him. And I think when he saw me speaking to, when Neil Collette says, hey Collette, how you doing? How are the Sharks doing? That's my women's pro football team. I know Todd heard it. And I'm like, score. And then as Neil Collette and I are talking, Mike McCagnon, the GM for the Jets, walks by. Hey, Collette, how you doing? How's your team? Todd heard that too. Score. So now I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm going to go in and speak to Todd now. I didn't want to interrupt his football, his job. Right? He's on the football field. Seems like fun. It's a job. It's work. It's a career. So I waited for the opportunity, like a tiger in the bushes, and I waited to pounce. And I found the opportunity, and I spoke to him. And I knew he had seen these other guys that were his bosses speak to me. I couldn't have paid them enough money to set that up for me. But I would have paid them if I had the money. So we start talking, and I said to him, I'm Collette Smith. I'm a women's pro football player, and I am a women's pro football coach. I also coach boys varsity high school football. And he said, what position do you play? And I said, the same position you played at Temple University.
Yes.
And now he's like, he did that lean back. But it was like, I like this. And I knew what I was doing. I'm very strategic at times, but it was still organic.
Yeah.
And we kept talking. And he said, listen, enjoy yourself. I'm happy you're here, because I said it's an honor to be here. You're my favorite team. I grew up a Jets fan and always wanted to play football. Right? Jets, J-E-T-S, Jets. Love that. And he said to me, whatever you need, let me know. And he walked off. And he got it probably about 3 feet. And I said, I need something. And I said, Coach, and he said, yes, Collette. But he remembered my name. Yes, Collette. And I said, I just need to know where the defensive backs are, where your DBs. Because that's where I played, and that's what I coached. And he said to me, he looked at me, and he looked away, and he said, DBs, lightly. And this DB, Jerome Revis, Cromartie, the coaches came running over. Yes, Coach. And he said, this is Collette Smith. She played pro football for the Sharks, right? For the New York Sharks. She's a coach now. She's going to be here. Make her welcome. And then he looked at me. The head coach Todd Bowles of the Jets says, anything else? And I said, no, I'm good.
That's great.
And I took it from there. And I knew a football player that interned for the Jets that year. His name was Eric McMillan. He was a defensive back player. And I knew him. And he's there, and I said, Eric, come here. What are you doing here? He said, trying to get down with the program. I said, okay. He says, what are you doing here? I said, the same shit you doing. Right? So I had a great day there. And when practice was over, the head coach came over, Todd Bowles came over to me and he goes, did you have a good time? And I said, well, it was more than a good time. I really enjoyed myself and learned a couple things and even taught some of your players a couple things. Right? So we kept talking. And he said, you're more than welcome to come back whenever you want. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, whenever you want, just come on back by. So being the analytical person I can be sometimes, I said, well, how's that going to happen? Do I just call and say, Todd said I could come? You know, there are gates on those doors. And he said, Collette, like really almost like embarrassing. He was like, Collette, take my number. And I was like, oh, yeah, number phone. You know, and I took his number and then he walked away and he came back and he said, bring a resume next time you come.
Yes.
And I said, yes, sir, Coach. And I got to my car and I called my dad immediately. I called my dad and I said, Dad, guess what? And I said, can you believe this? And he says, I can believe it. I need you to start believing it. Since now I have a company called Believe in You. I'm the president, founder, and CEO of Believe in You. So all things are possible.
You are clearly someone who stands up for what she believes in and pursues her dreams. I'm wondering, and I'd like to talk role models, who were your role models growing up that pushed you to go the extra mile to pursue your dreams?
That's an easy question for me. It's almost so easy it seems wrong. My father, my dad. My dad is a Vietnam vet. My dad is 101st Division Airborne Screaming Eagles. Jumped out of planes into combat. That's who I come from. And I'm his daughter. And I will jump into combat too for the good of people. So my father.
Thank you for sharing that. And I want to touch on the Believe in You, Inc. And so how do you approach empowering women and children, both young and old? And what have you learned from this? And what is your advice to the women in the room today about self-confidence to pursue their dreams, both professionally and personally?
Wow. That's a loaded question. That's loaded.
Take your time.
That's like a serious defensive backs play. Wow, I don't even know where to start.
If there's anyone who can answer it, it's you.
Might be right. Maybe. I think just kind of growing up in the dynamic that I grew up in, as cool as my dad is, and I remember growing up and having my father say to me, and my dad is pretty in your face, and he would say, come here, sit down. get your brother. And I'm like, little guy, Dan wants us, you better get your ass over here quick. And we would sit down and my father would say, I don't care what you do as a career or job for your life, but you damn well better be the best at it, whether it be a janitor, a doctor, or an accountant. Whatever it is you do, you give it your all or don't do it. I didn't get a lot what he was talking about then because I'm like 12 and I'm like I just want to go climb a tree or read a book, I don't know, but I get it. And he beat it into my brain throughout my entire life. And I remember calling my father when I first moved to my own apartment on 5th Avenue and 110th Street. And I had a terrace view of Central Park North. And I called my dad, and my mom always answers the phone. Dad can't answer the phone. He's not allowed, right? So. And my mom answers the phone, and normally she and I speak, and I said, hey Mom, she's like, yeah, how are you? I said, I'm good, can you put Dad on? Are you okay? It was like, I'm fine, put Dad on. Why? Are you okay? You know? And I said, Mom, I'm fine, I just need to speak to Dad real quick. So my dad gets on the phone with his usual statement. Yeah, what can I do for you? Dry, that's his cynical humor. And I said, hey Dad, I get it. That's all I said. And he said, I was wondering when you would. And he said, anything else? And I said, nope. And he hung up the phone. That was like love, you know? So all the stuff my father had taught me, I mean, from things watching TV shows where my dad and I would watch TV late at night, and if somebody was being attacked or anything was going on, my father would say, he would turn on the TV and he would say, listen, if someone's chasing you, you become the chaser. And I'm like, we're just watching this show. Goes, no, we're not. You know, you become the hunter. Climb in the tree and then you pounce on him. And I'm like, okay, Dad. You know, but the things he's told me throughout my life make sense. Don't continue to be hunted down and feel insignificant. You be significant. You be powerful. You be courageous. You be brave. It's easy to stand with the pack. Easy. We can do it. Anybody can stand with the crew. Oh yeah, I agree with what they're saying, all these thousands of people. But the one person that says, I disagree. I don't think that there should be a gun law for a problem, whatever it may be. You're standing alone. That takes more strength than standing with the herd. And that's how I was raised. And that's what I stand for. That's what I believe. And that's what I want to push to girls that I speak to at schools, when I go to corporations. That's what I believe in. That's my life.
Across the ChangeMaker chat community, this month's theme is legacy, which, to be honest, could not be more fitting for this particular chat. We're wondering, what legacy do you hope to leave behind, both in your professional and personal life?
You guys like loaded questions? Shoot. You know, I'm not even sure. I just know that I think that people could be kinder to one another. Right? Just kinder. Simply put. May seem simple, simplistic, but if everybody was kind to one another, this world wouldn't be a disaster that we live in, that we have to fight through. Be kind. Be respectful. Look out for your brother, your sister, especially the sisters, just saying. Especially the girls. But look out for each other. You know, if you see somebody in distress, look out for them. Give a helping hand. I know that sounds corny and cliche, but when I tell you I mean that, I mean that. I mean it. I mean it. The legacy that I want to leave behind is for all people to be empowered in a positive way, especially women, because we've been so put down our whole life. And a lot of times we're not even being taught to be put down or keep quiet. It's so embedded and deep and low and undercover, subliminal messages. I want to eradicate that. I want us to be powerful. And you know, when I speak to girls at Power Play, you know, empowering girls through sports. I was empowered through sports at 42 years old. I'm a 3-time rape victim. I have also been with a man that beat me for 7-8 years that I stayed with. Nobody would believe that knew me, because I've always been a pretty feisty, strong-headed person. But that goes back to what I was saying about being taught to be weak and subservient and be the girl, and the female gender is soft-spoken and we don't really say. No, F that. I found football and I found my strength. I found my cape. I found my superhero cape through sports. I've never been the same. I've never been the same. And I'm so happy. When I tell you I'm happy, it happened late, but it happened, and I'm blessed. And I want to share those blessings with other girls and other women every chance I get and every chance I create to make that happen.
I cannot think of a more powerful or timely legacy and piece of advice and just story to share at this time. So before I hand it over to questions from the audience, because I'm sure so many of you have questions for Collette, I want to do a quick rapid fire sort of.
Oh boy, rapid! You guys are loaded tonight.
I didn't send these questions beforehand. These are a bit lighter. Okay.
Great.
So first, what one book do you have to recommend to the woman in the room tonight?
The book that I'm writing, which is mine.
Yes.
I'm working on writing my own book right now, and I'm very scared about doing it. It's another obstacle and a barrier that I need to break, because I'm fearful. I'm not a good writer. I have moments when I write a great email, and I'm like, ooh, I read that. Then I have other times that when I reread something I said, and I'm like, shit, I said that? You know, so I'm working on writing a book. And my life story, and it's going to be very candid and vulnerable and speak to things that have happened to me in my life and where I am today and what I'm trying to do.
I think I speak for everyone when I say we can't wait to read it.
Me too!
What is your favorite song right now?
Oh my God, my favorite song? My favorite song is Fight Song by Rachel Platten. How does that go? This is my fight song, take back my life song. So yeah, that song is about, I'm fighting, I'm going for it, and this is what's going on. The Fight Song by Rachel Platten. That's my favorite song right now. Yeah, I love that song.
And in 3 words, what's the best piece of advice you can give to every woman in the room right now?
In three words?
It could be a little bit more than 3.
It's gonna be more than 3 words for me. Be brave, bold, and confident. Be brave, bold, and confident. Seriously, when I tell you I mean that, if you're in your office with your managers or at the board table and there's men there, 8, and you're one of the 8 persons in the room, and something's on your mind to ask or say it. I swear, because if you didn't say it, I wish I could smack you. Say it. Be brave. Be brave. Be confident. Be bold.
I think we're all going to have your voice in our heads saying that the next time.
Say it!
In the conference room.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I want to hand it over to the audience if any of you have questions, which I'm sure so many of you do.
Hi. So I'm not that strategic. What's your number, Collette? No, but I wanted to get some advice on being an introvert and also being bold. I think I face that a lot being in a luxury industry where people think that it's a lot of female dominated, but it's actually really male dominated, especially in the design world. And I'm not really sure a lot of times, having started my own company, I identify as an introvert, and I think
As an introvert, yeah.
So any advice for like the other introverts and how to be bold and still do what you're doing, but like I can't do it with you?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yes, I can.
Yes, you can. I sincerely mean that. Yes, you can. If you want it enough, if you're passionate about it, you want to succeed, you will do it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, you didn't want it that bad.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I think that was a question. Oh, perfect. Go ahead.
Who?
Sorry.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. Again.
Hello.
So when I started working in sports 9 years ago, I worked for a professional NBA team, and I told them that I wanted to work in operations, and they told me they didn't let women work in operations.
They said that, right?
They said that to me because they said we were considered a liability, and players may not know how to control themselves, and they don't have time. So
Excuses.
Working through sports, I've realized that has maybe not that bold, but that has been an encounter that I've had numerous times. So you touched on it a little bit, but I definitely wanted to get your advice on how to still be powerful in the room without being or coming off as like the bitch.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Right. And you know what? Great question, because when we stand up for ourselves, when something is not right and we want to change something, or we're being bitchy. If a man does it and says it and executes it, he's being a man. It's his job. It's supposed to be like that. So I personally would say point blank, I don't need your excuses. You're telling me that men probably can't control themselves? Collette Smith would probably answer, not my problem. What you would do?
Right.
Not my problem.
Exactly. Not my problem.
Not my problem.
Not my problem.
Here's what I can bring to the table. That other stuff, not my problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi,
Hey,
I really enjoyed your talk. Thank you for being so vulnerable with us.
you're welcome.
So I consider myself to be a relatively powerful person. I have a PhD in business and 3 jobs, and men still want to explain things to me. And I'm just curious what you do. I'm like standing in front of the room talking to these people about my expertise, and some guy stands up, you know what you should know, and then it's like the most basic thing. What do you do when men explain things to you?
Tell them to shut up.
To you.
Shut up. I got it 20 minutes ago. I got it. I'm good. Anything, literally, I got it. Because Bob and Edward over here, they're not telling them that, right?
Right.
So send me an email. Copy these 2 guys on it too. I got it. Thank you.
But I was hoping.
Somewhat related to that is, when you work with men who they believe and probably, think in their own minds that they are supportive of women and that they're the kind of man that is.
Oh, they all believe that, by the way. They think that.
When you encounter in professional situations, you know that they're treating you and speaking to you in a certain way because you are a woman. How do you handle that? Do you try and tackle the problem or just take care of yourself? Like when you encounter treatment that you know is different because you're a woman, even from the most well-intentioned of men, how do you move forward from that?
That's a great question, and it's all very unique to each situation that I've personally experienced, whether it be with the New York Jets as a coach, or in real estate and selling top dime properties. For me, simply, I've told the guy, in fact, I've told the New York Jets coach, that came to my desk and said, all right, listen, tell me about you. Really, like, what do you know about football? What, did you play? And I sat back and I let him hang himself, right? Because first I was like, oh, this motherfucker. And I was like, I'm gonna. Then I was like, no, let me just sit back here and let